Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name is Nacho Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. We're back to making our way through SCP-001. This was supposed to have happened last week, but I made some poor decisions in terms of technology, and it didn't pan out like that. So in the last episode, we read through the first 5. We stopped at the factory, and I stopped without doing my outro for dramatic effect. I don't know if it worked. Nobody said anything. So this one, we're going to be starting with the Spiral Path. And either we're going to stop after another 5, or just however long the video takes. So it would be Spiral Path, the Legacy, the Database, the Foundation, and 36. So let's... I also... I've also decided to try out the Opera browser. And I immediately have reasons I don't like it, such as when it's in full screen and not letting me go back to the top of the page. So I guess I'm going to just have to keep going back and forth between full screen every time I want to change a page. That's a pain. Okay, so Object Class Embla. SCP-001 is contained on the grounds of Site 0 in upstate Redacted, probably New York. A fence has been constructed around the perimeter of the observed effects. In addition to Site Zero's security, no fewer than 5 armed guards are to be present at all times to prevent unauthorized entry. The adjoining physics laboratory will be manned at all hours, studying any anomalies. A small metal plaque bearing an inscription will be maintained in good condition. Any damage is to be immediately reported to the maintenance. Description: SCP-001 is a circular gravel path in a wooded area. When traveled in a counterclockwise direction, the trail is continuously uphill, even after reaching the original point. When traveled in a clockwise direction, the trail shows the same amount of uphill and downhill travel as expected. Level 5 clearance is required to access the experiment log. That's me. This doesn't look like an experiment log. If you're reading this, then congratulations, one of us has died. Something killed one of us. A monster, perhaps, or a rival from the GOC. Or maybe we got just a little close to the flame, like Aaron. Not old age, of course. We took care of that, didn't we? Anyway, one of the old guard is gone. Maybe Jason, maybe Agnes, maybe me. Hell, I'd be surprised if I wasn't the next one to die. I always was the most expendable. I'm gonna write this to you as though you were a human being. It'll be the last time anyone extends you the courtesy, so I hope you appreciate it. Whoever you are, whatever you did before, you must have been high-ranking when you were pulled into this. You must have noticed the discrepancies, the inconsistencies. I don't know how much you've been told already or how much you've pieced together. The crux of the matter is this. The retrievals and recoveries of SCP objects are staged or made up whole cloth. We have never discovered an SCP in the entire history of the Foundation. I should start from the beginning. Let me tell you a story. Aaron Siegel was a physicist studying at Cornell in 1891. He was a truly gifted individual, and had his life taken a different path, I believe that his name would be up there with Edison, Einstein, and Hawking. I knew him very well. He was, and may still be, my brother. He was also an avid amateur naturalist and enjoyed hiking through the woods. One day, while visiting our family home in Essex County, he came across a gravel path. He decided to follow it for a time and noticed that it kept climbing uphill far longer than it should have. It should have taken him above the nearby hills. Instead, he found himself back where he'd started without a foot of downward travel. Another man would have assumed his senses were faulty and left. Aaron, however, was a stubborn man. He investigated further. He found the path did not conform to the pure geometry of Euclid. Like Sakari before him, he had found something abhorrent to the nature of straight lines. He studied it. The equations he derived are part of the file you've received. You'll learn them by heart eventually. He built a small shack nearby which served as a makeshift laboratory. His first experiments produced a key capable of opening any lock now contained in SCP-5. He brought in others. As his brother, I was one of the first he contacted. I was a medical student at Harvard at the time. I initially thought he was mad, but when he showed me the path, the key, I had to learn more. There were others with us, other friends and colleagues. Most of them are gone now, but we were the core. We created the Foundation from around ourselves. In the beginning, it was just about discovery, about finding the things we could do. We had such high hopes, such plans. We were going to change the world. We were going to save it from itself. We could feed the hungry, shelter the homeless, heal the sick and dying. Thomas Carter found us money. We were none of us poor, but we ran through our fortunes quickly. Thomas used his connections on Wall Street and in Washington to fund us. He showed them the least of what we could do and promised heaven against the threat of hell. Agnes Peterson, my brother's fiancée, was the administrator. We knew nothing of how to run an organization. We were a herd of cats running to and fro, and she turned us into a foundation, putting us dreamers and madmen to the same yoke. We soon had a facility built, but we were still so secretive. As much as we wanted to shout from the rooftops what we had found, we were frightened, too, that it would be taken from us. We told ourselves it was just for the interim until we were sure of our footing. We'd show them eventually. We'd show them all. We were careful at first. We made small, inoffensive, or even helpful items. The Fountain of Youth, the bouncing ball, the Civil War statue. We grew more confident. We started working on humans. The concrete man, he volunteered. Or the man with the abdominal planet, just a drifter, but we made him something special, didn't we? It was all so easy. Perhaps it seems absurd to get so many things from that one little break in reality, but it all flowed, one discovery to the next. It almost seemed like something was helping us along. But then, things started going a bit wrong. While he was playing with his equations, Aaron accidentally derived the missing number. In my laboratory, I found I'd made the zombie plague, but we were too invested in our project, so we pushed ahead. Then came the pipe nightmare and the stairwell. We knew we'd need more help. Thomas showed what we'd done to the military, told them we'd found these things, discovered them. We made up names like Prometheus Labs and the Chaos Insurgency. They gave us funding, personnel. We built up and expanded outward. We repeated the cell in other countries. Some listened, some didn't. Enough did. We became an international organization. We brought in some more researchers, though very few ever suspected we were the source of the items they studied. Sometimes we would arrange for an object to be found by a field team. Sometimes we would simply write the reports. We generated the paperwork and we were the oversight. If we said a thing was, it was. It still is. There were still problems, of course. Jeremy and Thomas took one of our experiments and ran off with it, creating their ridiculous club. One of our researchers grew mad and started worshipping machines, escaping with enough knowledge to be dangerous. We still deal with the fallout of these splinter groups. So we contained them. We handled them. We couldn't stop, surely you can see that. Rather than more cautious, we grew bolder. I cut a little boy up and turned him into the flesh that hates. There were reasons. There were always reasons. 231, we created her and her sisters. We took them from orphanages and arranged for what followed, and it was no accident. We knew what we were doing. There was a reason for it once, but I'll be damned if I can remember it now. None of us do. Except maybe my brother, whatever he is now. We keep moving forward. Even after Abel, after the blood pot, after that damnable reptile, we still move forward with our work. What else can we do? Our only hope to survive the events we've set in motion is to understand better, to learn more. We're on the back of a terrible beast, and if we try to jump off now, we'll be crushed beneath. But that's not what frightens me, and it isn't what should frighten you. We've maintained our foothold for over 100 years. The things I really worry about are the anomalies we didn't create. No, I was telling the truth the first time. We didn't discover any of them. But some of them? They aren't our work. They just were one day. They were in containment, and they've always been in containment. Don't you see? We're not in control anymore. We never were. Right. I'll have to remember not to use opera for this next time. What just happened? Okay. Okay, so next up is The Legacy by Dr. Mackenzie. Or at the very least, I'm going to have to check the settings, see if I can do something about this. Okay, it's Euclid. All elements of 001 are to be contained in separate environment-controlled lockers at Site 0. The location of Site 0 is classified Level 5 and is only known by members of O5 Command. Access to it, its transcriptions and data is restricted to O5 level personnel except during Protocol 0. Protocol 0 may only be enacted by a direct unanimous act by the entirety of O5 Command, and Protocol 0 procedures are to be disseminated only to those specifically permitted by O5 Command. Description: SCP-001 is a set of 2 objects and 33 documents belonging to Data Expunged, alias the Administrator. 1 and 2 are, respectively, expunged. 3 through 35 are a mixed set of handwritten and printed documents. They are normal in all respects except they do not show signs of aging or fading in any way, and dating of the paper on which they are comprised has shown inconsistent results. The contents of these documents, as detailed below, consist of expunged expunged, 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 as these objects form the impetus for the creation of the SCP Foundation and all of its constituent activities and processes. As such, this information is only to be disseminated by direct order of O5 Command as per Protocol 0. It's already in SCP-001, why is there so much expunged in it? You couldn't even get here unless you went past the weird fluffy brain deleter. Why does it also have all this expunging in it? Anyway. Classified Level 5 by order of O5 Command, eyes only. Unauthorized access of these documents is punishable by immediate termination. I made it past the brain melt, you can't do shit else. Addendum 1, Analysis of 1 and 2. 1 is a smooth device composed of an unidentified gray metallic substance approximately 22 centimeters wide, 30 centimeters tall, and 1.5 centimeters thick. It is unusually heavy, weighing approximately 8.2 kilograms. It is equipped with a small digital display and has a single opening that appears to be a type of keyed activation switch. Attempts to disassemble the device or analyze its technology have been unsuccessful so far, as there appears to be no seams or fasteners visible on the device. Attempts to image the interior utilizing X-ray or magnetic resonance have resulted in inconsistent results, suggesting that the device is either too dense to properly image or has inconsistent internal topography. One appears to be only capable of displaying two indicators. One appears to be a status or progress bar with an accompanying number, currently at approximately 23%. The other indicator is a single digital counter displaying the number something thousand something. 2 is a small key composed of the same unidentified metallic substance as the main casing of 1. It is currently assumed that this is the activation key for 1. Addendum 2, Transcript of the documents. 3 is a personal diary belonging to the administrator. 4 through 35 were inserted between various pages of 3 at the time of discovery. Okay, excerpt from 3. I always hated the idea of writing in a diary. Documentation is one thing, but I guess I never saw the point in putting down my personal thoughts. The scientist in me is telling me that someday someone might want to know how this all started. Excerpt from 3, page 3. They say that the first time is always the hardest. I've managed to secure funding and personnel from the federal government, and I've established an organization that will allow me to continue the research. The president insists that I turn over the device for safekeeping, but I've made it clear that I can't let it out of my possession. Page 7. Progress, unfortunately, has been slow these past decades. I am adamant that we cannot reproduce the technology until we have found a solution, as I'm sure that unless we kill both birds with one stone, we will simply hasten the process. Excerpt from 3, page 9. I had to kill him. They had been reproducing the technology all along and hiding it from me. I'll be moving on in the next 24 hours. This place is doomed at this point. 15. Again. I will not make the same mistake again. The mere thought of lying to the very people I need to reach my goal is bitter, but I can no longer afford to let them know the truth. 5 is a page printed from what appears to be an inkjet printer, found inserted between pages 15 and 16 of 3. This page has been preserved in the same unidentified method as the rest of the document. Memo from the Office of the Administrator. Humanity has existed in its current state for hundreds of millennia, yet only the last few have held any meaning for us. What did we do for the countless years before recorded history? We huddled in caves, warding off the night with small fires, fearful of the things that we could not understand. It was not just that we did not understand why the sun rose every morning, it was the mystery of enormous fish with the heads of men and rocks that came to life and monsters that drove those who saw them mad. We called them angels and devils, begged them to spare us from their wrath, and prayed for salvation. As time passed, their numbers died out and mankind flourished. The world began to make more sense, yet the unexplained can never truly go away, as if the universe requires there to be things we can never truly understand. We will not go back into the dark, fearful night. We will not be ruled by the unknown. We will stand up for ourselves. Even as the rest of humanity remains uninformed, we will fight the darkness, containing it and shielding it from the eyes of the common man, so that they can continue to live in the blissful illusion of a normal world. Excerpt from 3, page 22. Their faces haunt me in my dreams, hundreds, thousands of them, ones who blindly went to their deaths. For me, Page 28. Made a mistake. Told someone the truth the night before I left. I had used the last of my original medical supplies. In a way, I wish he'd aimed for the head. Page 41. This one solved an equation that could set a framework for the rest of the solution. I killed them by my own hand. Did they have ever imagined that it was an act of mercy? Page 64. I suddenly remembered that today what they told me before I left. They said that I probably wouldn't see anything, that I would probably simply fall asleep and wake up again. They lied. I can see them as they are consumed by madness, as the walls of reality crack and shatter, only to be replaced as if nothing happened. I can see everything. So play nice. Page 68. It is finally done. The equations are complete, the math is sound, but it comes too late once again. This team will not have time to construct the solution, and I will have to abandon the Foundation again. But I do so with the knowledge that no more will have to suffer the same fate. SCP-134 is a worn handwritten page discovered between the front cover and the first page of 3. To whom it may concern. First, I want to say that I am sorry for everything. I have most likely doomed you and everyone you have ever known to death and destruction by my mere presence in your world. If you were in possession of and reading this document, then I am probably dead. If that is the case and I did not bother to destroy this evidence, then that means I have also probably failed in my mission. This means that my responsibilities have now passed on to you, and that your fate and the fate of your world are now in your hands. I was not born into your world. I am a traveler from a parallel plane of existence, an alternate reality from your universe. The year from which I originated is of little consequence. If I've learned anything from my travels, the passing of time from universe to universe is meaningless. What is important is that, in my plane of origin, mankind was highly advanced. We harnessed the power of entire stars, molded planets and moons alike to suit our needs, and even learned to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. We had conquered death through advances in medicine and technology, and we thought ourselves masters of our own fates. We realized too late that all such things have a cost, and that our greed and hubris would not only result in the loss of everything we held dear, but doom countless others as well. Our meddling in the structure of existence had opened up cracks and twists in the fabric of reality, a corruption of the multiverse that we had failed to notice earlier because we could not see the pieces of our reality leaking into others. By the time feedback began to manifest, it was already too late to stop it. Before this corruption consumed us completely, we came up with one final failsafe. We would gather up what knowledge we could save and sacrifice our world to send a single individual through to the next. This could not repair the damage that had already been done, but could buy us the time to start over, to find a way to stop the corruption of reality. That individual was me. If you've not already found them, then the evidence to support my claims will begin to bleed into your world soon enough. Like a rain of glass, the shattered remains of other universes will begin to fall and slip into yours. Things that defy your understanding, fixed loops and structures without meaning or rhyme, things that cannot be destroyed by any means you possess, things that drive men mad and challenge all the assumptions that you hold dear. That which I carry with me is the final legacy of countless worlds. The equations and technology described in its pages carry with them the hope of stopping the corruption, a hope that has come with a heavy price. They are the last will and testament of a bloody trail of universes that have sacrificed and been sacrificed, that those who remain may avoid their fate. At the time of this writing they are nearly complete, but time is ever against me. If I am no longer able to see this mission through to its bitter end, then it falls to you to finish what I began. Good luck, the Administrator. 35 is a single handwritten page found between the last page and the back cover. The handwriting is inconsistent with that of the other handwritten documents. It expunged. This is it! The last evidence that our civilization will have ever existed. No one is entirely sure what will happen when you activate the failsafe. Some of them are saying the backlash from using it will instantly shatter what remains of our existence. Others are saying that using something of this power will merely accelerate the corruption by 100-fold. Either way, it will be quick. By the time you wake up at your destination, there will be nothing left of our home. It sounds like this was written by the person's significant other. You already know that it will only carry a single passenger, and the second team should have your gear ready by the time you're ready to go. I can only hope that with the time we've bought you, you can find a way to stop this disaster. If not, the device will keep track of the relative corruption level of local reality, as well as how many times it's been activated. A bit sadistic of us, perhaps. By the time you read this, I will already be dead. I'm sorry, but you have always been the stronger one. I don't have the strength to face the end with my head held high. Not without you. I love you. References found within the documents comprising 1 suggest the existence of 36, an electronic device or large document containing comprehensive technological and mathematical data related to 1. The current whereabouts of 36 are unknown. So it sounds like in this case, the equation to save reality was finished, but whoever it is that killed the administrator took the equation so that reality cannot actually be saved. Rude. Okay. That was the legacy. Next up is the database. Is this the one where the website is the SCP? Peter. There is no means to contain SCP-001 yet found that does not risk a potential ZK-class reality failure scenario and subsequent destruction of the observable universe. See information regarding 001. Alright, see Containment Protocol ZK-1 Alpha. Current procedures are limited to the absolute containment of information regarding 1. No data regarding the nature or description of 1 shall be provided to any personnel with the sole exception of the senior member of O5 Command, currently O5 blank. All data collected in regard to 1 shall be stored in an encrypted form via redacted, with the decryption key split into thirds. Each member of O5 Command shall memorize 1/3 and only 1/3 of the decryption key. Data shall only be decrypted on a network-isolated eyes-only terminal to be read only by the senior member of O5 Command and then only after unanimous consent of O5 Command. Leaking of data about 1 through espionage, telepathic leakage, other original research, or redacted must be contained by any and all means available to the Foundation. The senior member of O5 Command, as the one person with authorized knowledge about 1, is the final arbiter on containment. Foundation personnel of level 2 or higher who discover data about 1 in the course of their normal duties may be given a Class A amnestic after debriefing, rather than being terminated. This is subject to O5 approval on a case-by-case basis. Okie dokie. Description: expunged. Addendum: Log 1 Alpha. Date: January the 12th, 19-something. Documents appear on internet site redacted servers seized and authors traced to redacted. Resulting explosion explained as gas leak. Monitoring has not shown any further propagation of documents. Date: March the 31st, 19-something. Incident: script with possibly compromising information optioned for production by blank pictures. Original scriptwriter redacted. Agents successfully replaced script with one rewritten without redacted. Film was produced with the title blank and grosses $27 million on its opening weekend. Date: June the 19th, 19-something. Novel outline describing redacted, submitted to redacted by best-selling author blank. Attempts to neutralize author unsuccessful, leading to high-profile hospitalization. O5 authorizes the use of Class A amnestic to prevent more attention to case. Outline recovered and destroyed. Date: 05/2-something-2000. It's becoming corrupted. Foundation researcher. Emergency Containment Protocol ZK-001 Alpha O eyes only. Let's see. Ask yourself if you want to know. If the answer is no, then you need to stop reading now. If you go and report this unauthorized file to your superiors, act contrite, and claim that you only read this to this paragraph, you might get away with a Class A amnestic, if you're lucky. And if the O5s aren't particularly paranoid at the moment. So you want to know what SCP-001 is. The first answer is that it was a placeholder. A theoretical designation for the prime cause, the ultimate reason for all the paranormal crap we deal with on a daily basis. SCP-001 is why we have to deal with homicidal reptiles, ever-expanding rooms, extra-dimensional pools of red goop, and consumer products that don't obey the normal laws of physics. Of course, given that all of these things, as dangerous and deadly and just plain insane as they all are inherently patternless and self-contradictory, most researchers are convinced that there is no possible unifying principle for them all, much less a common source. They're wrong. There's more than one reason that cross-testing is discouraged, and the O5s even look down on excessive cross-referencing of SCPs. The O5s don't want any one group looking at more than a handful of these things at once because of what they discovered when the Foundation tried to develop a grand unified theory of SCPs. That research is mostly gone now. Site-1 Alpha was dismantled, scrubbed from the archives, the staff mind-wiped, and reassigned. No one left but me, and I wouldn't know anything if it wasn't for my habit of not trusting the Foundation servers and having my own hidden personal archive the O5s missed in their panic. I was a data analyst at Site-001 Alpha. Note to O5 Command, don't bother looking for me. I've finished the job you started. The identities of all former staff at 1 Alpha have been completely scrubbed from the records. You know as much as they do now. And I participated in the first and only attempt to consolidate all Foundation data on the SCPs. I was in charge of the data integrity. And as much of a mess as you might think that was, it was an order of magnitude worse. Forget the mimetic SCPs, or the ones that modify their own description, or the ones that seem to only inhabit info space and slip into the database to wreak havoc. That's all sop for anyone who works with the Foundation network, just a matter of scale. Worse were the completely inexplicable, unexpected changes in data. It's crossed out. Sorry, that's wrong. Even though I can't help but think of it that way, it isn't a change in data when reality is shifting to match. I don't know a lot about the internals of the software we use, but I know that part of it ran outside what we think of as the real world, and at first everyone thought that the audit trails it produced were some sort of bug. However, it became apparent that the nature of the software, its purposeful isolation from the narrative affecting SCPs, allowed it to record something far more important. It's not visible to you, or the O5s, or even most of the SCPs we deal with, but the Foundation, and by extension the entire universe, is in a state of constant shifting reality flux. SCP files appeared and disappeared from our database with alarming regularity, and the SCPs referred to all appearance, appeared and disappeared along with them. Not just SCPs, but personnel, whole sites, and entire decades of the Foundation's history would be rewritten seemingly at random, and our own memories and all external research would confirm that objective reality matched the current version in our database. One of the researchers told me that it was as if we were seeing the effect of something like SCP-140, only much larger in scale. Yeah, something a lot like SCP-140, and infinitely larger in scale. I don't know who did the analysis, and if I did, I wouldn't say. She's probably a lot happier not knowing about her own discovery, but she looked at what vanished and what appeared and what subtly changed in the records, and she found a pattern. The drift toward darkness, toward narrative coherence, towards a plot. Everyone who works any length of time at the Foundation knows the universe we live in is a seriously fucked up place. Those of us who still believe in God tend towards serious ambivalence about his handiwork. But we found out there is a God, and it is SCP-001, and it's a bunch of horror writers. Okay, Emergency Containment Protocol ZK-001 Alpha O5 eyes only. Note, Containment Protocol ZK-1 Alpha carries a non-zero risk of creating a ZK class reality failure scenario. You should only be authorized in an attempt to mitigate an end-of-the-world scenario or the imminent destruction of the Foundation. Research at Site-1 Gamma has conducted narrative analysis on SCP-1's changes to the observable universe. Conclusions are that 1 consists of multiple entities showing cognitive patterns that are indistinguishable from human, and that these entities are therefore susceptible to mimetic effects. Since prior experiments have shown information feedback via the SCP data warehouse, a possible method of attack or control has been developed. Protocol ZK-1 Alpha, when initiated, will cause a software viral insertion of a variety of mimetic agents into the SCP database, which, through the observed information feedback, should expose 001 to the mimetic effects of these agents. Protocol ZK-001 Alpha consists of 3 stages. Mimetic agents inserted to promote calm and or well-being. 2. Mimetic agents inserted to promote sleep, unconsciousness, or catatonia. Mimetic agents inserted to cause death. Given the nature of SCP-001 and our limited interactions with it, it is not possible at this time to safely test Protocol ZK-1 Alpha, and it is unknown if the universe can continue to exist without interaction with 1. So yeah, this is the one where SCP-001 is the people who write the website, and the people in the website are like, hey, maybe we should do something about that. But they're afraid to because they think if they do something about that, it might delete the universe. Okay, that brings us to the Foundation. UIU file. File 0041. Altered high school building somewhere. Confirmed anomaly 3. Object class 53. Highly intrusive. Unknown capabilities. Unknown nature. I'm gonna drink some drink real quick. I don't know why I chose to drink Starlight Coca-Cola for this instead of water, but that's what happened. So the protocols used to say, confirmed anomaly 3, Ka-3, is to be surrounded by an electric fence no less than 30 feet high and guarded by the United States Army's blank platoon. Any footage of or photographic evidence of Ka-3's interior is to be excised as soon as possible, and all witnesses detained indefinitely. Now it says, under no circumstances should any personnel attempt to enter CA3 or communicate with the persons inhabiting it. However, any person known to have been inside CA3 at any point must be detained and interrogated. A direct military assault on Ka-3 has been deemed unfeasible at this point due to the unknown capabilities of the entity or entities by which it is controlled. Note, this is a summary, and it does not contain all information relevant to Ka-3. For detailed information regarding it, see files 42 through 218, Director Blank. Known information. The Unusual Incidents Unit was alerted to CA3's existence on September the 7th, 1954, when students attending Somewhere High School reported that the interior of the building was vastly different than it had been at any point in the past. Upon discovery, it exhibited several unusual, if not inherently paranormal traits. Nearly all the walls had been replaced with steel-reinforced concrete, although several rooms were constructed of other materials for no readily apparent reason. All exterior windows had been covered from the inside. All of the student desks, personal effects, textbooks, and other materials expected of a public high school were completely absent. Lockers were still present, albeit significantly smaller and constructed of stainless steel. The arrangement, location, and size of the rooms and facilities did not match blueprints for the school. Often rooms would exhibit seemingly random modifications, although the number of change rooms is currently unknown. No fewer than 17 electronic computers were found, each of which made use of state-of-the-art magnetic core RAM. Prior to its classification as a confirmed anomaly, Blank High School had no computers. All files on the computers were inaccessible, and the computers themselves are firmly bolted down. The auditorium is inaccessible due to a large steel wall completely blocking the doorways. Attempts to move or damage this barrier have been ineffective. The extent and purpose of the barrier are unknown, as are the contents of the auditorium. A team sent into CA3's interior to do a complete survey, CA305, did not return, nor did a second team, tasked with locating the first team. The facilities are currently under lockdown pending new containment protocols. Update. 23 days after initial recovery, guards reported white noise emanating from CA3, the volume of which increased near its auditorium. 5 hours later, the white noise stopped, although the sound of voices was audible from the interior of CA3. Upon further investigation, it was found that the building now contained a large number of persons, all of whom appeared to be wandering aimlessly through the facility. Notably, each individual was physically identical to a member of Team CA306, despite the inhabitants of CA3 vastly outnumbering the members of the team. Attempts to interview or detain them were thwarted by classified. The 12 members of L5 were not found. In addition to the aforementioned, the interior layout of CA3 had changed significantly since the previous investigations. No mechanism which could explain this has been identified. Update. 3 months after the previous incident, white noise was again heard emanating from the auditorium. This time, the decision was made to investigate immediately. It was found that most of CA3-2, the designation given to the inhabitants of 3, had gathered near the doors of the auditorium. A circular hole roughly 6 feet in diameter had formed in the steel barrier, although the interior was not visible. At 3:10 in the morning, an item resembling a classified emerged from the hole and was carried away by an inhabitant. The item was placed in one of the classrooms which had not previously been observed to open. This process continued for upwards of 8 hours, with a new item being processed every 1 to 3 minutes. Most were seen entering a different room or locker, although insufficient personnel were available to track all items. Further investigation revealed that most, if not all, of the items produced exhibited anomalous properties themselves. A significant portion of 2 are involved in either guarding the items protected or produced, collectively 3, or performing various tests on them. Update. 2 days after the previous incident, 3 identical armed guards appeared at near each entrance of CA3. Further attempts to enter the building were futile, as these guards have consistently overpowered all teams sent to enter CA3, regardless of injury or relative level of armament. Note: reports gathered during the 2 days prior to the guards manifesting outside of CA3 appear to confirm that 2 is following standard UIU protocol regarding the items produced by the auditorium. Their knowledge of UIU standard procedure is consistent with that of Team CA305. Update: during the tracking of CA6, 2 men identical to Agent Dixon, member of CA306, emerged from a parked car and forcibly detained CA6, dragging him into the car and driving away. Tracking this vehicle for the next 8 hours revealed that it was driving directly to CA3. Upon arrival, the vehicle drove directly through the front doors, which the guards had opened shortly before their arrival. CA6 has not been recovered. File 42, message received from CA3. On May 15, 1965, the following message was transmitted in Morse code from CA3 on standard UIU communication frequencies. Sensitive data has been classified and the beginning of each sentence has been capitalized, but the message has otherwise not been changed. Hello! We are the O5 Council, and we, Secure, Contain, Protect, have been shown to do it, and we be nice to be friends. It will be nice to be friends. It is nice to have been part of your excellent, but it is best that with superior resources given the greatness, we will control containment. Our sincerest apologies regarding guards and detainment, workers and secrets kept needed. The time and waits we apologize, the radio blocked by 1 SCP or 2. Expect an expansion soon, for we spaces for, although away from auditorium, okay but unwant. 8 hours later, the following transmission was received. Expanded now. See the blank federal building. It is now a functional, need doctors, guards, D-men, recruiting. Anomalies found, and further possibly international, researching of course possible. Interrogation, international maybe, days, weeks to do. Further, we O5 are aware, sorry to O6 missed, that barely legible, but go between auditorium not blank. Goodbye and luck with your troubles. So it sounds like this one is meant to be the Foundation popping into somebody else's universe, and the way that they arrived made it so that it doesn't make sense to the other people? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Which brings us to 36. And then I guess after that, there's going to be a couple of episodes that are Ouroboros woven in between. Ouroboros woven in between normal entries. So. So, object class humanoid, threat level green, circumstantial red, Euclid class. Containment class Euclid, at least. Object class is humanoid. Special containment procedures. Instances of 1 are to be contained within standard humanoid containment modules. Under no circumstances are any instances of 1 to be stored at the same site, allowed to interact in any manner, or to be made aware of information regarding other members of the group. Personnel assigned to any single instance of 1 subjects are not to be made aware of the other instances of 1 or the connections among them. 1 subjects are not to come into direct contact with any other anomalous item outside of approved testing. Revised. Something 2000 05 Special Order A1130-X. In light of the events resultant in 0015's death, the use of 1 subject and the neutralization of anomalous objects is hereby prohibited. All cares to be taken to keep 1 subject alive and unharmed. Recovery and containment of 1 subject is to be considered highest priority. In the case of a death event, Ouroboros protocol is to be initiated as soon as possible. So I guess that's why Ouroboros comes after this one. Description: SCP-001 is a group of 36 individuals designated 1 through 36. There is no apparent pattern in terms of ethnicity, gender, age, or religious affiliation among 001 subjects. SCP-001 subjects display no anomalous properties of their own. However, any anomalous item, entity, or property brought into close proximity with a 1 subject will be greatly modified from its original properties. Most often this will result in a lessening or total nullification of anomalous properties. Those properties not nullified will be changed so as to display consistency between objects of similar properties. All of these effects are instantaneous and will occur without any input from the subject. The area of these effects will expand in when multiple SCP-001 subjects are brought together, as well as the intensity of changes. Multiple 001 subjects are capable of nullifying anomalous effects without being aware of the presence of said objects. All subjects of 001 seem to be instinctively aware of information regarding other SCP-001 subjects, generally the total number of the group and details of between 1 and 3 individuals. This knowledge is vague, making locating uncontained subjects difficult. The death of a 001 subject will result in the manifestation of multiple anomalous entities and phenomena in the area. These manifestations will be of such a scope that traditional containment measures are unfeasible and will result in significant casualties and collateral damage. Contained 001 subjects have claimed that this is a result of the deceased individual's absence letting things through, and that further events will be more severe as time progresses. In addition, contained subjects have claimed that any deceased individuals will be replaced by a newborn bearing the appropriate properties. No such individuals have yet been located. See Document 1EX for a list of notable modifications to items by 1 subjects. A full listing of nullifications may be found in Document 001N. Known members are as follows. 1 is a Jewish German male who's 94. He is currently induced stasis to prevent death. It is a numerical identification code tattooed on left forearm. 88-year-old woman who is, she was pregnant at the time, child born without incident, and the child is under watch. A 91-year-old British woman who was recorded dead in 1943. A Han Chinese male who's 97. First subject to disclose information regarding other subjects, Taoist priest of the Shenzhen school. Pashtun male 101, deceased. Subject died in containment. See incident report 5EX for further details. Italian woman who's 39. She's uncontained. Originally recovered from a hospital in Budapest. She escaped 8 days later in a breach at Site 90. Polish Argentinian woman who's 52, uncontained. She is in the possession of GOI 16, the Horizon Initiative. A Russian little boy who's 5. In possession of an unknown individual or group. No family members have been located. Aboriginal Australian woman who's 31. The Horizon Initiative have her. The African American male 25. Horizon Initiative. A Nigerian man who is 45 and contained. His family was present during his recovery. The eldest son offered armed resistance to the Foundation personnel despite 11's objection and was neutralized. The remainder of family given amnestics. Arabic female 14 killed by members of the Chaos Insurgency during recovery effort. See incident report 12RCEX for further details. Are any of those incident reports in here? And then there's a Navajo male who's 23 and he was recovered by Foundation personnel after contact had been made between the subject and SCP's 1295. See document EX for further details. Is that document in here? It is. Or is it? It is. Okay. Addendum. SCP-001 through 5, 11 through 15 were initially recovered in 1944 in Jerusalem during investigation of supposed miracles and other anomalous events in the area by the HMFSCP. 11 through 5 were found in the care of 3 individuals classified as POI 1458, 1459, and 1460. Said individuals possess possible ties to the Horizon Initiative and may have had a hand in its founding. The recovery effort was hindered by factional fighting within that group. One was severely injured in the resulting firefight, but was successfully stabilized and recovered along with the other subjects, and passed into the jurisdiction of the preservationist faction. The individuals responsible for sheltering the SCP-1 subjects fled during the fighting and were not able to be apprehended. The following interview with 5 was recorded in 19-something. Which one was 5? The Pashtun male who was 101. You spoke last time of having a specific purpose. Could you please explain? I'm here to help set things right. I don't know what his accent would be. All I know is he's 101 years old. Go on. The world is broken, Doctor, and my brothers and sisters and I are here to heal it. to gather together and prepare the way for what is to come. The process has already been set in motion, though regrettably there have been some setbacks. Please explain. One, he was the one who was to gather all the rest, with him now hovering between life and death. That duty falls to us, but we only catch glimpses of a few others in our number. It is enough. You don't fear for his safety. That death is just another part of what is meant to be. It is nothing to fear. An admirable view of things. How did you learn of your purpose? I had a dream, portent, prophecy, hallucination, call it what you will. It planted a seed in my head, an intuition, you might say. It was the next day that I met that person. Could you describe the dream? There was a man in rich clothing, like a king or emperor. He kept saying, "Where's the tailor? Where's my tailor?" And pacing back and forth. Each time he asked it, another voice would answer, "He is close now. He is close at hand." But he did not arrive. The man became more and more upset, and as he paced, moths came and landed on him and began to eat away at his clothing. His robes began to fray and rot as more and more moths landed on him, and some even bit his skin. But then the doors opened, and there arrived not one tailor, but dozens, led by the most masterful tailor in the kingdom. The king was overjoyed, for he knew he would be saved from the moths that tried to consume him. I woke up then, and I knew. He found me, and I followed him. If you'll pardon the dramatic phrasing, when all of you come together, the world will end, correct? Doctor, the world has already ended. This will be the last war. The world's time has come and gone, and it is stretching thinner by the day, until there will be nothing left but the monks. But there is still some time left. We can find each other on our own. And when that happens, quiet days, Doctor. Quiet days and peace. Okay, authorized personnel. Mimetic security, what sword shall you choose? Okay, we'll take another. Well, the final sip of the space coke. Good weird flavor. Location site 128 coordinates. Boop, 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 boop. Event type localized crisis. Description: event occurred upon the death of 5 at 22:12 local time. NTF squads stationed at Site 41, 98, and 203 were deployed in response. Liquidation protocols for all items within Site 128 were authorized at 22:15. Resultant anomalies. UAP blank. Self-replicating substance similar in composition to clay. Upon contact with a vertebrate organism, the substance would mold around the host, overriding their behavior. Without nearby hosts, the substance would spread along the ground or coalesce into large masses. UAP blank. 8-winged entity with avian and cephalopodon traits, measuring 70 meters and wingspan of 45 meters tall, would manifest swarms of entities outwardly similar to crows or ravens, measuring approximately 3 meters in length. That sounds like Cthulhu. UAP blank. A series of 109 great... Oh my god. Cubic... Oh my god. Bahedrons, measuring approximately a meter in width. Air temperature and a radius of 20 meters of the objects would rise to over 250 degrees Celsius. Affected areas would immediately cool after exiting the area of effect. Objects were capable of flight at approximately 25 kilometers an hour. Alexa, how much is 250 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
250 degrees Celsius is 482 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you. Okay. 9 reported Class 3 biological revival scenarios. Widespread civilian reports of spontaneous ritualistic cannibalism. Anomalous weather patterns extending approximately 110 kilometers out from the initial event site. Rainfall contained high amounts of fatal pathogens including Ebola virus, E. coli, and whatever variola minor is. Sounds like an instrument. Yes, let me play my variola minor. I'm going to do Beethoven. Disappearance of Scp-1348. See document 1EX. Is that here? It is here. Recovery efforts. Ouroboros protocol initiated at 2223, completing at 2100. Protocol was carried out at 97% efficiency. Foundation casualties 1350. Items lost 27. Estimated civilian casualties 10,000. Okay. Incident report 112 RCEX. Well, something something 2000 something. Location redacted. Islamic Republic of Eastern Samothrace. Event type localized crisis. Recovery of 12 was engaged at 7:31 local time. They were reluctantly cooperative. At 7:43, operatives from the Chaos Insurgency attacked the recovery team. 12 was severely injured during the event, along with agents blank, and 12 was generally incoherent from this point, displaying signs of glossolalia? The extent of the subject's coherent statements were recorded as follows. They're hungry, you see. Gnaws and bites and claws and crunch, crunch, crunch. All the food is better than no food. See, they're very hungry and they keep getting hungrier. Recovery team was attacked by a second time at 8:15, resulting in the death of 12. I'm just gonna have a brief period of dead air while I try to find out what glossolalia is. Glossolalia. Glossolalia, the phenomenon of apparently speaking in an unknown language, especially in religious worship. It is practiced especially by Pentecostal and charismatic Christians. So speaking in tongues. What you could... Right, science, they wouldn't want to say that. But it was speaking in tongues. 12 died. So, resultant anomalies. UAP blank. Semi-amorphous tetrapedal entity measuring approximately 50 meters in height and 200 meters in length. The entity was resistant to conventional weaponry. Data expunged. Spontaneous consumption of individuals by large masses of maggots, species unknown. Expunged. Flash flooding consisting of a mixture of 2% chocolate milk, crude oil, chicken broth, and rabbit feces. Disappearance of 1348. CEX for notable alterations. What is 1348 that it keeps disappearing every time one of these happens? I mean, I'm going to get there soon. Nuclear deployment authorized by the Board of Overseers at 8:17. Ouroboros protocol initiated at 8:46, completing at 7:30. Protocol was carried out at 61% efficiency. The Islamic Republic of Eastern Samothrace has been classified as SCP-1173 on account of reality instability caused by flaws in the operation of Ouroboros protocol. Foundation casualties 8, Chaos Insurgency casualties 25, civilian casualties 175,000. Okay. Authorized person. What? What we saw them walk on clouds of meat. That was the testing log. Okay, so forward. Due to one's possible Abrahamic roots and its potent effects on religion-based anomalies of a similar origin, a test to establish if its effects have a wider base was required. 361 was chosen for this test as a low-risk, non-Abrahamic religious object with easily observable effects. Okay, so 2 was instructed to introduce a sheep's liver to 361. Welcome to Harris Co. Oh, it's you. So it would seem... Well, if you're calling, that means... Oh, hell, it's time already. Yes. Well, I suppose we should have seen it coming. Traffic has been getting very thin lately. Guess it's time to go. You will be there with us when everything is in order again. Assuming you'll be able to do it. Well, kid, we guess this is goodbye. We know we and your boss didn't always see the eye to eye, but we had a good run overall. It's been fun. You'll be there, I promise. And we don't doubt for a second that you believe that. See you on the other side, kid. Or not. Heh. Can't remember the last time anyone called me a kid. Closing statement. Following test 361, 361 ceased to function. Any attempts to introduce its usual stimulant to it produced only a sound similar to that of a disconnected dial tone. Okay, 738. 738 was chosen for experimentation due to possible thematic links. No physical description of the entity was provided by 3. Well, look who it is! How the hell have you been? What can I do for you? Just a message delivery, Jack. Next time you head back, tell everyone to get ready. The contract is winding down. Are you shitting me? Not pulling some sort of trickery fuckery? Not at all. Really time for the scrap, eh? Bloody asshole. Fuck, it's been long enough. You know what? For you, no charge. It's on me this time. Right out of the kindness of my shriveled black heart. Well, maybe not so black. You're killing me here. See, that's why I like you. Always got a joke and a smile. Contract left by 4 red. It's on the house. X. 3 offered no explanation as to why 4 was referred to as Jack. 738 currently displays no anomalous effects when used and has been classified N. 1295. Well, I guess we're going to get the 1348, but I'm almost there, so pretty soon I will know what all of these things are. Retain is not the same thing as know. On blankety blank blank 1803, all 4 instances of 1295 were leaving the diner. As they were all leaving the diner, they were addressed by an individual later classified as 14. Since the containment procedures for SCP-1295 did not allow for the direct intervention of Foundation personnel in this scenario, the conversation was instead recorded. Gentlemen, if I might have a moment of your time. Well, look who's here, finally here! Boy, do you know how long we've been waiting for you to show up? What took you? I apologize, I was only recently made aware of my duties. Don't worry about it, kid. Dwight here is just being an ass. What he meant to say is it's damn good to finally see you. Hey, not that sitting here wasn't nice, but a man can only eat so many fruit cobblers before he gets tired of them. It's time to go back to business. That is indeed what I am here for. That time for your ride is drawing near. I was tasked with letting you know this, and asking you to begin the preparations. I was told you would know what to do. That we do, my lad, that we do. I'm not one to brag, but there ain't no one in the business that knows better. I would like you to remember that we live in different times. This task requires a surgeon's scalpel, not a broadsword. You'll need to be gentle this time around. Blast! I was afraid you'd say that. Don't you worry, we'll be as gentle as anyone could ask for. I suspect we'll see you again before all this is through, my boy. You take care. Come on, lads, time's a-wasting and we got to get a lot of stuff to get ready. Right out! All 4 instances proceeded to leave the diner. Following their departure, Foundation personnel detained 14 and took him into custody without further incident. No instances of 1295 returned to the diner following this conversation or were seen since. So there, I believe... I thought they were the 4 horsemen, but I think there was a whole other thing with the horsemen. I think it was a tail. So... Following the death of SCP-5, Site-87... Actually, you know what? I'll just skip this one since I don't know what they are yet, but I'm going to soon. Due to the relative safety of interacting with 73, testing with 11 has been authorized in the hopes of establishing neutralization of 76. Hello, have we met before? No, we haven't. You don't look like a doctor. School teacher by trade, though that's neither here nor there. You've been released from your binding. Is that so? It's been a very long time. It has. Well then, easy way to test it, if you would... 73 turns head, motioning to his cheek. 11 nods and slaps 73. Action successfully makes contact, no counteraction recorded. So it is. Have you spoken with my brother yet? No, not yet. When you see him, tell him that I am sorry. 73 currently demonstrates no anomalous properties and has been reclassified as N. Observation ongoing. Due to the success of exposure of 73 to 11, the O5 board has granted clearance for testing to be carried out with 76. 11 was placed in the primary containment chamber and instructed to wait until 2 emerged from 1. 11 enters 76 containment chamber with instructions to wait until 2 manifests. After 63 minutes, 2 emerges from 1. Upon seeing 11, 2 was overcome by a fit of hysterical laughter and crying for approximately 30 minutes. Has he forgiven me? He has. 2 currently demonstrates no anomalous properties or violent behavior and has been reclassified as N. It has been relocated to a high-security humanoid containment chamber. And finally, that brings us to authorized personnel only. On basalt feet we stood. The following communique originated within the leadership of GOI-16, the Horizon Initiative. The message was found alongside item E7455 during recovery on blankety blank 2000-something. How do you explain to someone that the world is dying, and that only they may save it? We've asked ourselves that question during the 60 or so years since that fateful day in Jerusalem, and have entertained different notions on the most effective ways to do so. 50 years ago, we were Elijah, full of bluster and wrath, calling upon our less faithful brothers to rally to the 36's cause, using fear to further our goals. 30 years ago, we were Isaiah, seeking to strengthen our less courageous brothers with the conviction that our cause was just, speaking of the greatness of our task, using their newfound confidence to build an order on which our goals would withstand. 10 years ago, we were Jeremiah, weeping at the doors of the world's greatest powers, pleading for them to listen, for we now understood that this task was beyond our power alone. And now? Now we're Jonah, and are lost for words. How do we make you understand what is at stake, when the only way you could see is to let everything your organization ever did go for the word of 3 old men? That is too much to ask even of righteous men, and we are not yet certain that you are such. All we can ask is that you listen. You have seen what the 36 can do. You have seen the way the world unravels around them, but you do not understand why. You see them as just another entry in your great book of diseases, a threat to the wholeness of the body you keep, the world. It is not so. The items and phenomena you keep hidden from the world are not diseases. They're symptoms, and you are not keeping the world healthy by masking them when the underlying condition is ignored. The problem is that this condition is chronic. The world is simply old, and the 36, they might make it young again. For them to be able to do so, you will be required to make the ultimate sacrifice. You must relinquish your identity. You were made to secure, and we are asking you to trust in the unproven. You were made to contain, and we are asking you to release. You were meant to protect, and we are asking you to leave the world vulnerable. It is an impossible request, this we know, but you must fulfill it if there is to be any hope for us. Release the 36. Let them come together. Let them do what needs to be done, and we shall follow. Help 3 old men make the world young again. Don't let it die. Okay. So I feel like maybe the reason it's built up like this, the way that it goes straight into Ouroboros, because this one had a whole lot of Ouroboros protocol, which dealt with a whole bunch of end of the world stuff. So I guess the reason that this is a thing now is because it deals with trying not to let the end of the world happen, I guess. We got the cycle proposal, part 1, the children, part 2, the broken god, part 3, atonement, and part 4, the way it ends. So I think the way it ends might be related to what I just read, but there's just, the website has this whole time had a whole lot of stuff in it about the apocalypse. Like, there's the broken god, but there's also, like, God, and there's Cain and Abel, and the angel guarding the Garden of Eden. I think Adam is in here somewhere. If there's an SCP for Jesus, I haven't seen it yet, or I forgot. There's a lot of stuff going on with all that nonsense. But because of them restructuring some of the SCPs to just be in Ouroboros or Ouroboros, depending on how you want to say it, that's going to have to be its own sub-series within what is already a sub-series. So I'll probably just be, like, putting a subtitle on those episodes when we get to them. But anyway, that does it for this episode of Reading 001. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified of future uploads, and I will not be using Opera for this next time. Later!